Hello again, everyone. So let us now continue by looking at altcoins. I had selected a few from Binance that I showed you in the last stream. So today's top gainers and top losers include um, top gainers are BNX, Acro, PHA, and Ray. And then we have in the top losers we have Pendle, Beta, and ETHFi. So these are we're going to look at them, and we're going to look at other altcoins. For example, we're going to take a look today at ETH, and also we're going to use our own MTF scanner to see if there's anything interesting that I should be taking a look at. Okay, so let's start with BNX. I'm gonna be repeating those. I had mentioned them in the previous, or I'm gonna let the ones that I mentioned till the end. I'm gonna start with the screener and with the major ones, and then I'm gonna go to the Binance top gainers and losers because I actually mentioned those and in the last stream, but there was a mistake in the stream itself that it didn't show the chart, so I'm gonna leave them till the end. If we have time for them, we're gonna go through them. If not, we're not gonna go through them. Okay, if we have already shown something more interesting, then there's no need to overtrade. Anyways, so let us first start by going to the screener, and on the screener let us take a look at the 4-hour time frame, because yesterday we already had established that actually the 4-hour time frame is a very interesting one for most coins. And then let's just start with that, and let's move and screen the whole crypto market. Hopefully when we see something that is looking different or interesting or standing out, we're gonna then take another look. So for example, here you can see that a lot of information is already visible usually in this MTF screener. When you take a look at Gala, for example, you see it tapping up. This is probably in the making of making a local top currently. So if you go to Gala here to the 4-hour time frame, you're gonna see this in a wave. This is looking very similar to the ones we posted about yesterday, including Zilliqa and several others. So this one, if we were to zoom out to the 2-day, I am sure we're gonna see it faking up. So as you can see, it's faking up, and then when we mark the start of that fake up here and we go to the 4-hour again, this is a stochastic wave that is going probably to end up with a drop. Whether this is going to pull up a move like that and then trick everyone and then go back down, or it's gonna go up and then go back down, is something that should be investigated on lower time frames as it goes. So the next step for me should be to mark the last wave upwards, which is this one, and then I should zoom in on the 24-minute time frame. And currently it's not saying much because this is not much of a neat looking wave. It's very short. Probably what's gonna happen is it's gonna dump from here, but I don't trade these kind of short waves that did not go all the way to the top unless we can zoom in more and see something, or zoom out more and see something. But probably also because this has a very low volume, it's not showing much. Okay, so this was Gala. Going back, we can see, for example, here we have a coin that looks a bit different, or a couple of coins actually. You have, for example, Link tapping down while everything else is tapping up. Then you have EGLD looking like a fake down that was kind of trying to pull up. So let's first start with Link. Okay, and actually Link deserves to be analyzed from a larger time frame because this is a very significant altcoin. So let's just zoom out as much as we can. Let us start with the 1 month chart. like we did with Bitcoin. What I'm not liking is this messy up and down. These candles here are kind of out of proportions, and then with it, the 1 month chart is not that neat in terms of not a neat move, but still we can try and smoothen it in our mind, and then we can just mark the last wave, the start of the last wave on the MTF like that, and then we zoom in where this start is at the very bottom in terms of green, like I showed you before. So let me just show this again. 1 second. So this is the, I'm gonna show you again until you know it by heart, the MTF ideal stochastic wave. Okay, so we are currently somewhere here. This is the start that I marked, which is this. We want to zoom in so we can see this wave down, the gray wave down as a green one. We want to zoom into a time frame where I can pinpoint the entry here. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be zooming in to a time frame which is a 10th of the current time frame. Okay, guys, before I continue, I just wanna ask you, please, if you want to support me, make sure to subscribe, like and comment to this current video. It helps a lot. When we zoom into the 3-day time frame, we don't see a peak where the peak of the price action is, so I'm gonna change the time frame to another time frame that might show it better. Yeah, so the 4-hour time frame, what I did is I zoomed in one time frame and I didn't find it, so I zoomed out another time frame, so I found it. So now it looks like the chart that I showed you. So let me just show you this one again. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so now you can see that this is looking similar. You have here the peak at the peak. Okay, you have it here. Okay, and now we have this tap down. So we had this tap up and then we had the tap out down. Okay, and now it looks like it's pushing back upwards. So again, the next step would be to zoom in one step further by marking this last wave here. This is the last wave. We want to zoom in another time. So from the 4-day time frame, in order to zoom in, you have to calculate how many hours that is. So 24 times 4, that's close to 100. So in order to go to a 10th of a time frame of this, you should be going to either the 8-hour or the 12-hour, since there's no 10-hour time frame. And then when you look here, you can see, let's just go back, you can see that this already is on that time frame in a wave up. Why? Because it already pulled upwards like that. Okay, so for me, when I look at Link, what I'm looking at is, and actually this gave a very decent entry on the 12-hour. You can see here, here and there, it looks very similar to the ideal stochastic wave here when you look at this shape here. So you had these two entries which are already highlighted. We missed those. Okay, and now we're already in what looks like this curve, this stochastic wave here. Let me just show you the other one, because there are always two. So we're already somewhere starting this one. Okay, we are now entering the phase where this is gonna do a red highlight, and then we're gonna have several long entries after this. And for that, I'm going simply to wait for the next tap down. Okay, when this taps down in gray, this is gonna be a long entry. Okay, and when this taps down on the 8-hour as well, it's gonna be a long entry. Currently there's no entry, there's no short entry either, because this is not diverging, this is actually gearing up, so it's not safe to short. So the next thing for me is to look for a long entry when this taps back down, and for that I'm gonna be setting an alert when this MTF crosses 18, and I'm gonna write to myself link tap down on the 8-hour for 4-day, okay, possible long, and I'm gonna set it at 15, and that's pretty much it. And now moving forward, let's just check EGLD. I wanted to see what's actually doing because it's looking different than the rest of the market. And when you look at EGLD, we were on the 4-hour. It's actually looking pretty similar to Link, and I bet when we go to the 4-day we're gonna see something similar. Yeah, it's pretty similar, so it's the same situation like Link. I wouldn't enter this one unless it taps back down, and from this current analysis you can see that the 6 and 8-hour time frames are showing more than the 4 hours, so I'm gonna continue with the 4-hour, but then I know that next time frames to be looking at are the 6 and 8-hour time frames. Moving on, we have AXS looking like a wave that is ending, okay, on the 4-hour AXS. Yeah, it's looking like a wave that's ending, and I bet when you go to the 2 days, gonna be faking upwards. So this is looking very similar to Zilliqa, ZIL, okay, and this one is probably gonna drop down unless by today's close we are gonna see a change in this 2-day fake up. And the reason for my current certainty is because it's already faking up on the 2-day, and then when you zoom in on the 4-hour you're seeing a reversal, a full reversal here. You're seeing this wave actually rounding like that. You have this rounding like this, and then at the same time you have this gray tapping up. So this is actually giving me some certainty. If you were to draw any trend lines, of course you could draw something like that, looking like a flag, bear flag. So this current bear flag, let's just draw it as a channel. Yeah, this bear flag currently is looking like it's gonna break. It's gonna break probably downwards, but the problem with AXS is it's not shortable in many countries, so I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to short this or not. And in order to short it, we would need to zoom in again, and we would need for this 24 minute MTF to actually first, this is looking like it's gonna go squeeze up and then slowly curve down, and while it's gonna do that, it's gonna do this zigzag, and then you have to time your entry when green is curving down like that, and when gray is tapping up, crossing it over like that. This is going to be like the precision entry if you want to take this short, okay? Whether this is gonna be at this current price level or higher or lower is something I can't say, but you can see from here that this is losing strength and is rolling over. This is a typical rollover sign for something that's gonna be breaking the support that it's standing on, okay? Continuing, let's just take a look at Trust Wallet. Okay, so let's take a look at Trust Wallet. Going to the 2-day. First go to a higher time frame. I don't like the chart. Like, there's nothing much to deduct from this one, not even in terms of elite waves or any other analysis. second. Okay, so we have dot, not one of my favorites. Moving forward. So as you can see, the 4 hours not showing much difference across the different coins. The only coin that looks slightly different is, you can see here, you have Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two ones from the top, looking very similar to each other and different from the rest of the market. So we're at the point where the large caps are moving similar to each other, and then the mid and lower caps are probably showing something else. And we have also here standing out alone QNT. Let's just take a look at this. When you take a look at QNT 4 hour time frame, you see this pushing upwards, and it had this fake down and probably gonna push upwards again. Let's zoom out. It's looking very different from the rest of them, because the 2 day is not faking up, it's tapping up, but it's not faking up. There's a difference. And when it taps up like that, you can't assume whether it's gonna go up or down. Therefore you should just zoom in further. And when you do that, this is the start, somewhere here should be the start. So we have to zoom in on a different time frame. 6 hours still not aligning with the start, 8 hour also not. So you should go to the 12 hour. Okay, so as you can see, we had this alert that was set in the previous stream. We're gonna go to it next. Anyway, so here you have QNT. Would be interesting for me when this taps back down. Okay, it didn't move much, but regardless, either way, the next one for me is to simply check the other coins. We have several watch lists. We have 3 watch lists. This is the second, and the first is the one with the largest caps. Okay, so let's just go at least to this second one and see if we have anything that looks different than what we've already seen. If I see anything, I'm gonna pause. If not, I'm just gonna continue. So here we have combo. It's looking totally different. I bet if we zoom out slightly, this is gonna be a gear up. So let's just check combo. I'm just curious what actually is happening here. So this is looking like a gear up, and when we zoom out to the 6 hour, this is a very neat gear up. Okay, so next step would be for me to check the volume on this one. So I'm just heading to Binance. The volume is very, very low. Okay, it's 460,000. If this was a large volume, I would think about it as a no-brainer to be longed here. I would simply long this with a stop loss below the swing low. But because it has a very low volume, I will not dare to touch it. So even if it was high volume, I would probably set my stop loss very tight like that, or looser below the last swing low. But I'm not gonna do that. Reason for that is it's very, very low volume. Like one order will affect this. Like even if I would just to buy this, it would get moved, and I don't like that. So I'm just gonna neglect this one, and I'm gonna continue checking the rest of them. So far nothing is standing out. I just want to take a look at NTRN. It has a different wave than the rest. And looking at NTRN, it's still in the phase where nothing can be done. So actually what I would be looking for is another tap down, and for this green curve to be starting to move upwards. Okay, probably what this is gonna be doing is it's gonna flatten before it starts doing something again. So something like that. And then going to the third watch list. Let's just take a quick look here. Not much to be seen. So the next step for me is to go to another time frame. So we were talking about the 6-hour time frame to see something different. This is now the first watch list again. And as you can see now, we're seeing totally different things. So for example, we have here, let's just take a look at ASTR, okay, because this one is looking like a coin that is still having strength. It's still inclined upwards. So let's take a look at ASTR USDT 6-hour. Sorry. And then I'm gonna take one zoom out. This one, ideally on the 3-day, I would wanna catch it on a tap down. So I'm gonna set an alert for myself at 15 and write to myself ASTR 3-day tap down. Okay. But regardless, if you wanna analyze this last wave, which is this one here, we mark the start of it, okay, and then we zoom in to the 6-hour, which actually brought us here, and here you see this tap down, okay. So this tap down indicates that this is probably expected to give one last tap up before it starts dropping down, but I don't expect this tap up to be making a higher high, because this is not a natural price action to see, especially after this ugly candle. We had this ugly rejection candle and this high volume rejection. So probably what happened over here is this kind of 3 candles, they're engulfing strongly what came before them. So what's gonna happen is we are expected to make like a micro bounce somewhere, and then we're gonna be continuing downwards again. So I'm not really seeing a reason why I should be aiming for buying this pullback. And even if I wanted to, the next step would be simply to zoom in. So I mark the start of this last wave and then I zoom in, and when I do that, you can see we're still at the phase where we are still gearing down or selling off. So we're not even curving upwards, so we're not there yet, okay. So let's just continue. The market is pretty much all looking the same. Okay, let me just take a look at smaller time frames. So let's just take a look at the 2-hour time frame. Maybe we see something different. Otherwise we are going to move on and assume that the market is all looking exactly the same, which is bad for trading, of course, because then you don't have a variety. Okay, so we have XLM. Let's just take a look at XLM, one of the forgotten coins in crypto. This is very ugly. Like, yeah, you had this 2-month time frame, and then when you zoom in, you go to the 6-day or 1 week even. Let's go to the 1 week when you had this. Nah, this is not something I would like to touch at all. Probably what's gonna happen with this one is it's gonna drop from here, okay, and that is actually very uncommon for the MTF, because when you have coin doing like that and then dropping straight from there without anything else, this happens when it fails and invalidates, or sometimes in B waves. So sometimes wave B is very tricky because it doesn't diverge when it goes down. So and you can actually always kind of see the subwaves of wave B, which is the ABC, like that. Okay, and it's looking like this is something like that probably, and then it's gonna drop from here. It's not the kind of coin I like to play with. Let's take a look at Atom. Looking very similar. Let's take a look at the 2-day first. It's looking very similar. So if we were to sum up where the market is currently, if we were to open the 2-day on the screener, you're gonna see them all, or most of them, faking upwards. So you're gonna see most of them looking like the ones that we called bearish earlier, like ZIL and Ape and several other coins. So you're gonna see most of them having this fake up. So there's no point in analyzing the ones that look the same, which are the majority. You have some that are in a cycle on their own. For example, when we started here, you had RPL, you had Curve, okay, but we analyzed those in the last streams. The one that we didn't analyze yet is Jasmy. So when you go to this one, yep. So as you can see, I was trying to figure out which time frame is relevant to see the whole move, and for that the 10-day time frame was kind of very clear and visible. And when I mark the last wave and then I zoom into the 1-day, what I get is this. This is showing like a local bottom, so a bounce should be expected, but it's not a diverging one. So it goes against the safe trade. So why? Also because when they all pull together, gray, green and blue, it squeezes before it bounces, so it's gonna be difficult to time an entry. Probably it's gonna be pulling to this lower support first, doing this squeeze, and then it's gonna pull upwards for a bounce. I would be interested in this one, and when it taps up and then it taps back down, this is when I would be interested in it to look for another entry. Okay, TRX is also looking different, but already we mentioned this in one of the earlier streams. We can take another look at it. This is the drawing from the last stream that we posted about, and if you remember correctly, I was talking about me waiting for a tap down here, or simply for this to break before this tap up, because I said that this tap I said that this tap down is gonna either happen as a retest when breaking this current resistance, this resistance here. So I anticipated that this is gonna be doing something like that, and then this tap down is with this retest, or it's gonna pull back from the resistance and then break up afterwards, and then the tap down is gonna be this. Okay, but the tap down didn't happen yet, so I'm assuming it's gonna be, and it kind of broke up. So if it closes like this, I'm gonna assume that it will retest from the top. And as you know, we can then zoom in by marking this, which was already marked from last time, and then when we go to the 6 hour time frame, or even the 8-hour time frame, you're gonna find this actually doing this movement that is indicating that strength is incoming, and that this could become parabolic. You can see it at the 8 hour and the 6 hour. What am I talking about? I'm talking about that this here tapped down, and then the fake down here did not touch the bottom, and then another one happened like that. So it looks like a triangle. They're all squeezing to converge upwards. And when that happens, usually a coin squeezes upwards either as a large trap or simply as a parabolic move up. Okay, so for me, I would not touch this unless it goes back down, or if you wanna play this level, and then this would be a trade that has nothing really to do with the MTF. This would simply be a breakout trade. So you would simply assume that this level here that I placed was placed correctly and accurately, which is at this candle here and this candle there, and now you're gonna simply either wait for another retest, or you're gonna place your stop loss below that and then aim for the all-time high again, or the recent high again. So that would be a price action trade, not much of an MTF wave indicator trade. Okay, an MTF wave indicator trade would be when you wait for this tap down and then you place your entry. Okay, moving on, you can see here LDO, totally different from the rest. You see all the ones around it are faking up, and yet this one is looking like a complex gear up. Okay, it's not that clear. Maybe it's gonna be clearer on another time frame. So let's just look at this. Let's zoom out on LDO to get a better picture generally. Okay, sorry guys to keep remind you, but again, please, if you have any questions, just post it in the chat. Someone told me, could you please check Gary Network? Can you please write the ticker for this one, because I need to know what the ticker is in order to check the chart itself. Okay, if you want me to check it, write the ticker please in the chat, in the live chat. And for the rest of the guys, please, if you like the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. And make sure to like the video if you like it. Okay, so moving on LDO here. Here you can see clear waves, because you have here this abstract waves, these abstract waves like that, and then here on the MTF you see something very similar. Okay, when you zoom out, always you can see these gray and blue showing you clearly the waves. So even when you're using Elliott waves, it helps a lot. Okay, so what I do here, as always, is I mark the last wave down on the 20 day, and then I zoom in on the 2 day, and what you can see here is the peak was aligning with it. So, and this is looking like a gear up. So let me just fetch again the ideal stochastic wave for reference. So when you look at this, looking very similar, doesn't it? It had this peak, and this one had the peak, and again this is now the green is curving upwards, and green is curving upwards. Okay, the only thing that is making this a hard trade for me and not such an easy trade is this last which looks like a knot, or like as if the curves are getting tangled together, because usually you would want this gray curve to go down and tap down. Let me just color this for you. So ideally you would want to see this gray curve go all the way down and then pull up. So go all the way down and then pull up. We don't like it when it crosses blue before tapping down, because as you can see in the previous one here, okay, it didn't cross blue when it went up so early. Here it's about to cross blue, and when that happens usually it does something like that. So this is what makes this not such an easy trade. If that was a clear fake down, it would be a no-brainer. And also because of the recent price action. So you had this very ugly 2-day candle which dropped very hard. So probably what's going to happen here is this still has to do something like that before it moves back upwards. So still I mark the last wave as I usually do, and then I move on to the 4-hour, and the 4-hour is looking like the first tap down after this wave. Okay, so it's not something I touch yet. Ideally, again, I would want this to tap up and then tap back down for me to get interested to long this part here. Okay, and for that, since I can't make an alert for the second tap down, I'm gonna make an alert first to the tap up when it crosses 80, and then I'm gonna write to myself LDO 4-hour set alert for next tap down 4-hour. Okay, and then I'm gonna continue here. So on the 2-day we have QNT looking different, which we already discussed. We have ape going down before the rest, which we already discussed yesterday, but let's just take a look at it. So ape here, for example, is looking very close to a second entry on this short. Yesterday I talked about this and I said you can either short here or wait for the tap up, and as you can see here, this is ahead of the rest of the 2-day fake ups. So even when you mark this one here and then you move to the 4-hour, what you can see here is a fake up also. So let's move this here and then analyze further, and then go to the 24-minute time frame. What I don't like about this is it's gonna do this squeeze up where all the curves converge upwards. So what you can see here is green wants to go up, blue wants to go up, and gray wants to go up. They're all pointing in that direction together. So what does this mean? It means that if this is gonna drop like we expect it to drop, it's gonna kick you out of the trade before you short it. So ideally we wait for it further until we see something clear on the 24-minute time frame. Okay, because this is probably gonna do like a blow off top kind of top, and it's gonna be hard to know whether this is gonna do this within the pattern itself or it's gonna actually shoot up and go down, especially because also it doesn't have so much volume, so a blow off top could happen easier. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much it. The ones that I didn't mention in the last stream, let's just take first a look at Acro, which was one of the biggest winners today. I mentioned this in the last live, but I had an alert, so I'm just gonna check the alert. 12-minute, yep, 2 hours. What about the 3 hours? No, I'm not really liking this, so this is probably gonna make one bounce up and then it's gonna give us another entry. As you know, I don't enter when green is looking like that. I enter when green is starting to curve upwards, and then we have the tap within that curving upwards. Okay, so this is not the one that I'm looking at. Okay, this is BNX, which I also described in the last stream. Unfortunately, you only have it as a sound. The chart wasn't open, and on that one I actually was discussing the fact that this was squeezing up on the, I think it was on the 4 hour, it had this tap up, and then on the 24 it was showing as if it's going for a last wave. See this last arrow here? So this happened, and probably this is going to start dropping soon. But as I said in the last stream, this is not the shape I short, and the reason for that is because this is gearing upwards. So this is not a diverging kind of top, and even on many time frames when you look at this, it doesn't look like a short unless you are looking at the 12 hour as part of this wave here, and in that case, even when you zoom in to the 1 hour, it's not showing much. It's showing this kind of a squeeze pattern. This is the 72-minute time frame which I use as a zoom in on the 12 hour, and it shows this kind of a very small V. Usually when this happens, you get a squeeze, you get this trap. Okay, so even when I am too stubborn and want to short something that is looking like that, I wait for it to blow off above the resistance before I short it, and I see a wick, and only when I see a wick I zoom in and then I short. Okay, and even if I wanted to do that, I would mark the last wave and try and analyze that last wave alone. I would simply zoom in from here, 12 hour, 12 minutes, sorry, maybe 18, no, 5, yeah. So this is the last wave, and as you can see, it's still gearing upwards. So what would I be looking for? I would be looking for this to do something like that, and then these keep going up and down, and then I get perhaps an entry like this. Okay. But now I don't see much, not yet. When I see this shape that I discussed, something safe to do that I usually do is I delay my entry mentally. Even like when I see something, regardless if it's doing this or if it's flattening in the top, sometimes you have curves that are just flat like this, I delay my entry. Like I see what my impulse is telling me to do. If I feel like impulsive towards actually shorting out of FOMO or whatever, I simply delay it to see more, or I zoom in to increase safety by one factor where I actually demand to see more confirmations in order to play it safer. Okay. So last thing I want to take a look at are strategic altcoins like Ethereum. Okay, let's just take a look at Ethereum here, because I haven't actually analyzed this in a while in a live or in any video. This is looking very similar to Bitcoin, and if you don't know what I said about Bitcoin, make sure to check the previous live streams. This is faking down on the 1 month, and then when we mark this beginning of this correction and then we go to the 3-day, what you can see here is very similar to Bitcoin, especially if you even go to the 2-day, you're gonna find a similar fake up. So actually this is gonna be doing something very similar. I'm gonna be interested in this when it taps back down. Okay, one thing I wanna take a look at is the ETH BTC chart. I had posted about this some time ago on Twitter, and I was explaining, let me just try and remember which time frame I was posting this at. Yeah, I was explaining that this actually, these are the crossroads in terms of whether we're going to have a Bitcoin season or an altcoin season or a bear season or a bull season for the whole market. And I was explaining that if, for example, we see Ethereum break out of Bitcoin here, if it breaks up like that and it pulls, it retests at this level and then moves upwards, this is gonna be alt season, because at this point you're gonna be seeing altcoins outperforming Bitcoin in general. If it breaks down, gets a rejection here and breaks down further, then you would see probably Bitcoin alone and then an alt season. So you would see an alt season, but after Bitcoin does its thing alone like it usually does. And if it gets rejected only to retest support and then gets rejected at resistance again, then you'll probably either get another retest and an alt season, but after a long Bitcoin run, or if we get rejected in either way, it's gonna be bear season or a Bitcoin loan run, like sometimes it happens. So if you remember what happened when Bitcoin was running all the way from 6k to 40k in 2020 and 2021, there was this several months at the beginning where Bitcoin was moving alone without altcoins, and then altcoins followed. So this would be the scenario if we get a rejection followed by a bounce from here. Okay, so let's just take a look at different time frames to see if we see anything. This here is looking like a reversal already, so I would be interested in seeing this tap down as a fake down. My personal expectation is that I'm gonna be seeing this faking down and pulling back up before it I'm pulling back up, and if this fakes down, I'm gonna be much more convinced that altcoin is around the corner. So I'm gonna be keeping an eye on this pair. Yes, another thing I wanna take a look at is Binance, BNB. You see here how this MTF is looking like, and how this gave us this entry here, which was there, and now it's faking down. This fake down here should be marked on the 2-day. Zoom into the 2-day, but it has a long way to go now in my opinion, so I'm not gonna be touching this anytime soon. Anyway, so this is pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching. Please, again guys, if you have enjoyed the content, make sure to like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel, tell me what you think here, or tell me what you think in our Discord group. Okay, would love to get your opinion on it. If you have any chart requests for the next live stream, make sure to post them in Discord. There's a link in the comment in the description of this video. And if you wanna try out the MTF wave indicator, just message me on Discord, ask for a trial. I can guide you through the trial and teach you how to use it, so you can make the best out of your trial. Okay, thank you guys, have a great evening.